Hello, Suzanne with Dawning Visions Hypnosis, and today's subject is: do you feel you have unhealthy relationships with some of your patients? This is an issue that comes up sometimes when we're in practice. And it's not really anyone's fault in particular. It's just something that can develop if we're not careful about how we're interacting with our patients. Unhealthy relationships can be anything from feeling like your patient may be bullying you because they have anger issues and you don't know how to shut that down. It could be that you get overly involved in your patient's experiences and are working way too hard on their behalf, especially if they're not putting in the work they need to in the first place. It could be seen as perhaps feeling anxious about having to work with somebody that maybe perhaps you don't really like that much as a person, and yet you're feeling kind of stuck continuing to work with them, which is never a healthy situation, and it doesn't work out for either of you. Trust me on this. You really need to screen your patients before you decide to work with them if you are in a situation where you're able to do that. Obviously, if you're working for an agency and you're assigned a client base, you're going to need to work with them as best you can, unless it gets totally out of hand, in which case hopefully your supervisor will reassign that patient to somebody who's better equipped to work with them. Because we all have different personalities, and as such, we attract and work better or worse with certain patients or clientele. It's just reality. The other way this can show up is if you have a client that just truly is not invested in the work. You're doing your best to get them to open up. You're doing your best to give them good suggestions in terms of how they can alter their thoughts and their behaviors to become healthier, and yet they just will either dismiss it or ignore it. And that can be really frustrating because they're not having any growth or development, which is the whole reason that you went into the business, right? To help your patients to be able to do some healing work with you. And the reality of the situation is that we do need to have some autonomy over the folks with whom we work with for these very reasons. And the best way to make that happen that I know, especially if you have a supervisor who doesn't really care about what you're dealing with, and I've had some in the past who are very much like that, which is why I stepped away from working in conventional mental health totally before even getting a license, because it didn't make any sense to me as a result of my interactions with these so-called state licensed mental health providers, is to really be able to do one of two things. The first thing that you can do is you can go out on your own and work for yourself. And in working with yourself, you can take on some people through the health insurance panels if they're referred to you, but you do want to screen them to make sure that they're a good fit for your personality before you take them on as patients. The second thing that you can do is just go into a total self-pay situation where you are servicing people who have a lot more disposable income, understand the value of what you're doing, and are more than willing to pay whatever it takes to help them heal. Because the reality of the situation is that the more people pay, the more they're invested, the more they're willing to do the work. It's just the way it is. I have found this to be true through my 20 plus years of being in practice, and you really do want them to pay for a program, pay in full, and give them a significant discount. So you start with the amount of money you actually want to earn. Yeah, make it a bit higher so you can give them a discount and still earn what you want to earn, and that makes them feel good, and they'll pay in full. And then you have cash to actually work with for paying your own bills, because if you can't pay your own bills, you have a problem. And too many people in mental health are not able to pay their bills because they're not charging enough, they're not making enough money, they're working their asses off, seeing clients back to back, and it is really kind of crazy because we all need to have time off. We all need to be able to spend time doing what we need for ourselves and our own health and well-being. We need to be available to do things with our friends and family. And when you're working so many hours, that's not possible. And I know for a fact that when I was working outrageous hours, this was actually while I was doing hypnotism and neurolinguistic programming back in 2005 or so, I got pretty sick because I was working too many hours, and I just had to learn to cut back. No more than 30 hours a week seeing clients. Actually, it's more like 10 to 20 hours a week that I see my clients. And because they all pay for packages up front, I either get paid in full or I get a monthly payment as they're paying down the cost of their package. So I always have money flowing into me. And that's a really good thing. And that's the way you need to set up your practices. So you always have money flowing in, and you're not having to deal with the stupid insurance companies, which waste a whole hell of a lot of your time, frustrate the living hell out of you. You know that's true. To maybe get some small payment for the services you probably already rendered to your patients who needed it, if you're lucky enough to even get that when they need extra sessions. Just an idea for you, or ideas for you to think about so that you can earn a decent living working with people who are actually interested in doing the work that they need to do to heal. With all that being said, I do offer a 2-day VIP one-on-one online program for those of you who would love to learn how to integrate hypnotism and neurolinguistic programming into your healing protocols. It is the one thing, because it's all hypnosis, actually NLP is a form of hypnotism, that I have found to really truly help my clients heal. I mean, heal to the point where they're no longer doing those destructive behaviors. They no longer have destructive thoughts. They've moved on with their lives and they're actually living out their compelling futures. Meaning they're doing the things that they've always wanted to do but couldn't do because of their mental health issues. Some of them going on, I don't know, 17, 18 years now. I'm in contact with quite a few of them still, so I can tell you quite honestly that's a fact. So there will be information for how to contact me to get more information on that if you're interested. And I'd be more than happy to set up a consultation call so we can talk about it through WhatsApp. Or you can email me. The information will be in the description below. As always, I thank you for spending your time with me till next time. Bye-bye all.